Hey everyone, this is Muscle Fix Mobile Podcast, episode 6, featuring nutritionist and CrossFit specialist Candice Ludwig, as well as Dr. Vincent Taffuri and Dr. Nicholas Kuzmanovsky. Welcome, Candice.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you. So please tell us, how did you get involved with CrossFit? How did you go down the path of becoming a nutritionist? What drove you to this?
Yeah, so I think my story is probably common. I had a friend recommend CrossFit. He was like, I think you'd really love this weird, crazy way of working out. And he was right. And so I very quickly got sucked into that culture and loved that so much. And very soon, nutrition was just in my face all the time as the thing that I also needed to be working on in addition to working out, right? So like many people, changed my own diet and habits and felt fantastic. Wanted to preach it from the mountaintops, right? If you just eat better, you'll feel better, which was a revelation to me at the time. So that's how I got into CrossFit. And then as I learned more and more about nutrition, I just really wanted to tell others and coach others. So then I started enrolling in all these different programs and certifications and things like that. I already had a background in psychology, which sort of helped with the coaching side of things. And I think I heard this from Mike Bledsoe one time, but I think of nutrition coaching as the Trojan horse of all things health and wellness, right? You think you want to coach or you think you want to lose weight, whatever, and that nutrition is the way. Come on inside and let's do that. And then let's talk about everything else that's going on in your life, right? So kind of getting into some of the mindset stuff and the stress management, and just kind of a little bit more of a holistic approach than just what you're eating and how much time you're spending in the gym. And so it's been several years of coaching now, mostly do that one-on-one in person through my CrossFit gym, Dog House CrossFit, which is in Chicago. And then started doing online before everybody was doing online because of COVID. So it's kind of already set up for that. But I'm just now launching more group programs online, which I, again, was planning to do prior to this. So kind of flows right in. And so that's what I'm up to now.
Wow, very interesting transition. So is it very different to coach someone via Zoom, or via, video chat versus in person?
Not really. I definitely, sometimes people get a little bit more emotional when you are in person with them. But a lot of the calls I was doing over the phone, even with my in-person clients, just for the convenience of getting together. So it hasn't changed too much about my style with it. I think in some cases, people are maybe more comfortable sharing stuff over the phone than video Zoom because you're not actually looking at them, and so they might be a little bit more inclined to say more if I can remember to close my mouth longer and kind of insert the space and let them do that.
Fascinating. Dr. T is over here taking notes because this is kind of the next step for him. He himself is a nutritionist, a chiropractor, and that was kind of on the list of things to do, was to go into Zoom video chat, weight loss coaching, actually. Go figure.
Oh, cool.
Well, I'd like to chime in a little bit for Dr. T because he is a newborn to the CrossFit world. So, Dr. T, tell us a little bit about your CrossFit journey and where Candice a little bit ago.
So it's kind of interesting. Like yourself, Candice, I've been working out for 50 years. And when the gym shut down and there was no place to go, you start doing it at home. Quite frankly, everything seems to get in the way. You wind up doing, the calisthenics, some weights, things of that nature, but there's nothing like integrating into an outside facility. So one of my son's friends that I've known for a number of years knew of this one particular place that was still open in spite of everything going on, because their ability to provide a service in the community and have some great connections. And very compliant, blah, 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 to the degree that needs to be done. Let's put it this way. They're 12-foot boxes. The boxes are 12 foot in space. They're 15 feet off center. There are approximately 12 boxes within the site, and everything is there. And quite frankly, I kind of went in with it with the anticipated thought that, it's kind of interesting to attempt this at this particular point in my life. I'll be 65 November 30th. And like many people, I'm sure you've come across, when they start thinking about the aspect of CrossFit, they say, wow, this may be a very intense workout, because that's what you typically is put onto the, sorry for the dogs in the background, they're barking at something, God knows, that it might be a little intimidating. Well, suffice it to say, I found out it was a wonderful situation. It worked out great. I was really happy that I did it, and I still am today. I go 3 days a week. I'm there at 7:30. I start actually limbering up and start working out for the 8 o'clock class. And it's been great. I really enjoyed it a lot, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That was something that took me by surprise with CrossFit. I was already going to the gym, but never classes. And I certainly wasn't going to make friends. I was like headphones in, talked to no one, you know, did my thing and left.
Mm-hmm.
And wasn't expecting CrossFit to be the community that it was.
Right.
And now, you know, 8 years later, some of my best friends are the people I've met through that gym, even though they don't work out there anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, the relationship stayed intact. So there's, something about that just brings people together, even all different kinds of people in terms of like ages and families or single, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm seeing that myself in the short period of time that I've been there. There's a certain camaraderie that comes out, and it is kind of unique. Many years ago, I used to train with my brothers. I trained with friends, and then probably for the last, I guess, 15 years, I basically worked out on my own because my own schedule's crazy. It's between the practice demands, family demands, things of that nature. It didn't ideally fit into everybody else. And then I got used to it. It became a little bit of a lone wolf, you know, and I would superset everything and work really diligently and hard at it. Not everybody works that way. But as I said, down for 3 months, really not doing the kind of work that I want. I was looking for something. I was pleasantly surprised doing CrossFit. I enjoy it immensely. It's a combination of plyometric, calisthenic, weights, aerobics. You know, it integrates basically everything into it. So it's great. I also found that from a standpoint of, because over the years of doing various things, including training, I've injured myself in spite of everything that I've done to maintain good health, you know, working out, eating right, supplementation, you know, blah, blah, blah. And end result is that I find my body moving better since I started doing it, because you never really have the same workout. It's something different all the time. And I kind of got caught into that routine of doing body parts and things of that nature. And there was always something, you know, you push yourself too hard on the bench or something like that, you got a rotator strain or so on and so forth. So once again, pleasantly surprised, endorse it immensely. In fact, we're in the process of doing a podcast, I believe, next week with the owner of the gym. So it's something that, what we're trying to do, Candice, is create a community. That's the thing that all of us have in mind, myself, Dr. Kosmanowski, and Greg. And the way we run our practice, my practice that, you know, Nick works with me and he has a separate integrated business too, we really focus on the totality of what a person needs. So I always tell people, I treat people as an equilateral triangle: structure and function, biochemistry and toxicity, and emotional well-being. And when one of those areas when one corner goes out of balance, it throws everything else off too. So life is balanced and you're constantly working towards that. And it's, you know, it's the type of thing that needs to be a continuum. It's not a one-shot deal. And, you know, I think CrossFit fits into that well, because people know that they have to commit to doing something if they're going to get results.
Yeah. I love that approach that you hit all three of those pieces, because that is true. And I believe that more and more, like the deeper I get into the wellness stuff, and I sort of have to remind myself that not everybody's there yet, right? Like they think they want like the macros and the calories and the meal plan, you know, I got to give them that, but then also find a way to introduce them to these other concepts that, you know, how they think impacts how they move and, you know, and all of that.
Yeah, unfortunately, as a doctor over the years, I realized one thing: people like to drop their body off at 9 and pick it up at 5 and have us fix it for them. And it's just, tell them that you've got to be a willing participant. I'm the coach. I mean, and you're the quarterback. You have to run the play. I'll teach you how to do the best job possible. But if you're not equally involved in this situation, it's never going to work. I've been doing this for 40 years. So bottom line is that it takes a true willing participant to make growth. And not everybody starts off that way, but many people evolve to that because they see the benefit of it. They realize that they have to change their diets beyond the standard American diet. They've got to move their body. Okay, they've got to start doing things. In other words, they have to start taking responsibility for their health. And, you know, if you work with them on a cooperative basis, they'll get to that point. And once again, having a team like bring in Dr. Kosmanowski as a therapist, and we do some very unique things in our practice. You know, the typical style of what I do in chiropractic and variations. You know, we've created our own aspect of functional medicine. Functional medicine, people think, oh, you're just taking a bunch of supplements and changing diets. It's really a paradigm of really deciding what that person needs based upon that equilateral triangle.
Yeah.
And it's not the same for each person to get them to a better state of health.
Yeah.
So that said, Candice, you know, do you find that the average CrossFitter is really a different demographic than, I guess, someone, you know, on the street American, that they're more motivated, that you have, you know, I guess, a typical CrossFit diet, I suppose, or something like that?
You know, it's interesting. I think years ago it attracted a different kind of personality or person than it does today. You know, maybe 5-6 years ago, it was, I don't know if type A is the right way to describe it, but usually people who are very driven, kind of like that, like pain of the workout, right? Like wanted to like sort of like not hurt, but like, you know, just feel the workout and feel the sweat. And we certainly still have those people, but now we're getting more of that, what I would call like person off the street who was previously scared of CrossFit or was intimidated by it and stopped in for whatever reason and realized, oh, these are just normal people in here working out and they seem to like each other, you know, and so they're getting into it too. So that's one of my favorite things about it is the scalability, where we're all doing mostly the same workout, but somebody who has a limitation or an injury, whatever it may be, can find a way around it and still, you know, be a part of the group. I will say though, diet wise, most people I work with are coming in standard American diet, you know, still kind of following some of those old school rules. Some people are privy to the like macros and paleo. You know, everybody wanted to go keto last year. So that still happens, right? You still have those trends where people are kind of privy to that stuff. But I would say most of the people I deal with are like standard American diet is, you know, the place they're coming from.
So it's not a cult and we won't get cursed by coming in to do CrossFit?
It's not a cult. Well, it might be a cult. I mean, people get sucked in, right? And it like becomes this community that like, I think has a very positive effect on other parts of your life. Like I thought I cared about eating healthy until I was around this community of people who this was just like how they live their life, right? So it's a good cult, I think, if it is.
Positive cult. So Dr. Nick over here, you know, has been on a, I guess, fitness and weight loss journey. He's what, 5'10"-ish, 140 pounds, what, 5% body weight. How do you think he's going to die, basically? Would you recommend, you know, fixing him?
What's the goal? What are you aiming for?
Nothing. I don't like the word diet.
Yeah.
Never have believed in it because a diet's temporary. It's not a lifestyle and it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, again, I am a seafood diet person. I see food, I eat it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Nobody believes I can eat and hang with the best of them. I feel it's a sin or a waste to not eat or, you know, food that we haven't, we're privy to. Because some parts of the world where, you know, I'm from Macedonia, or my parents and my family, Eastern European. And I saw that firsthand with my own grandparents, like literally starving for food and to weigh something that the earth and an animal or, you know, God has provided for us. I don't like to waste. So I appreciate and have an open mind to a lot of things and especially nutrition. And even with nutrition, again, I don't like that word because it's, I don't know, again, I don't think we all have a deep definition of nutrition. Obviously, that has to do a lot with our culture, our upbringing. And as we learn this stuff, you know, we all go through a different journey with nutrition. But yeah, I don't think there's any particular goal. Again, the point is my goal right now, I'm a young dad and I just want to be able to keep up with my kids and be moving. So I don't have to be like that fat American dad sitting on the sideline.
Dad bod? You don't want the dad bod?
Yeah, it's just, you know, stay fit. And there was never particular anything, you know, I guess the way I got into nutrition and wellness, which I'd like to get your definition of wellness, because this is one of Greg's favorite words. And we never really discuss like wellness. This is like, we all throw this word around, but we don't even know what that really means. Or again, Dr. T has educated me and the world on this triangle and so many different components. So I think, again, in terms of nutrition, it's a very important thing. And even us with our extensive, collaborated education background of probably over 100 years of education we all have here, the average American, and I hate to say, like, I went through like 9 years of schooling and there was minimal to no nutrition course.
Yeah.
And the saddest part is we're not even privy to or legally allowed to prescribe or mention nutrition stuff. So, Greg, who's 9 to 5, is an accountant, lawyer, jack of all trades, brilliant man. He knows a lot about nutrition, and he's taught me a lot about it too. So again, I think it's our duty in this wellness space that we're all in, share this information through these platforms. I've learned, as I've told Greg from day one when we started this journey, a lot through the Strong Coach. So I don't know how you're affiliated with them, but I think you're one of their coaches, right?
Yeah. I completed that program a couple of years ago. I think I was in the third or fourth. Yeah. Again, these podcasts and the Strong Coach and leaders like yourself, I want to thank you for really taking the time to kind of talk shop and sharing this story and information, because again, it's our duty to get this out to the general population, especially with all this stuff going on. I think it's a good opportunity for all of us to reflect internally and kind of control alt delete and do this. It's such an opportunity going forward after all this settles down.
Well, real quick. So the point was no dad bod. What should he do, Candice, do you think?
So I don't subscribe to a particular kind of diet in terms like one that has a name, right? Like I like to think of like food quality as like paleo, meaning real food, as much whole food as possible, avoiding like a lot of packaged foods, right? And I like to educate clients on the if it fits your macros approach, because I think there's value in learning what food is made of in terms of protein, fat, and carbs, so people can understand how to make better choices. So I do encourage all of my clients to do that tracking and to do that weighing and measuring for the first couple of weeks that we work together, just because it's so eye-opening to them. Most people are under-eating protein and over-eating carbs, right? And it's like you see a lot of the same trends appear. So for you, Nick, like I know you don't have a particular goal. It sounds like you can get away with eating whatever you want, and it doesn't necessarily like show up in terms of body weight and things like that. I'd focus on your motivation with the kids, right? Like you want to be active with them. You want to have good energy and not feel tired all the time. I imagine you work quite a bit. And then when you're with them, you don't want to be like, oh, dad's tired again. He works too much, and they like leave you alone. Like you want to be like vibrant and fun for them. And that has to do with the food you eat. So even if it's not going to make you gain weight, some of the crappier food, like the sugary stuff, things that just like don't agree with your digestion, when you take those out, you're just going to feel better, right? And then that's going to like show up for the kids. So I would, if you were my client, I would focus more on that, like why you're even thinking about food quality in the first place and food amount in the first place, for your energy levels. And then also to teach the kids, like what's healthy. You're right that like food is not just food and, to keep us alive. There's a cultural weight to it, an element to it. It's like for celebration and for mourning, like that's what brings people together. And so to deny that would, I think we'd be doing a disservice to people. So you have to kind of acknowledge that. And also at the same time, get people on that like 80-20 of most of the time they're eating really well and eating foods that nourish their body. And then the other 10-20% of the time, you have the fun foods, right? Like the donuts and the cookies and the pizza and beer now that it's football season, and the wings, right? Like all that stuff.
Funniest part is when I eat all that 20% bad stuff, as it's going down, it's like, oh man, this is so good. And then once it hits the bottom, it's like, oh man, why'd I just do that?
Yeah.
So, we realize how poisonous, I do at least, unfortunately, that good stuff the good stuff is.
Yeah.
And every time I tempt it, my wife and I and the kids, including the McDonald's, I hate to admit, like once in 5 years, a few weeks ago, like within minutes, it was just like, wow, this stuff is absolute like toxins. So again, that's just like basic, applicable, great information that I think you kind of nailed down and made it like kind of digestible. No pun intended there, but so it really is a good way to kind of put that approach. And again, I think that's one thing as doctors, I was talking to Dr. T about this, like we have such science medical brains, and Greg has educated me on that as well. He's like, stop talking like a doctor, talk to me like an average, like your buddy, we're having a beer. So, and Greg also, again, very strong scientific, professional dialogue. And it's just like, okay, well, what the hell is all this like fancy degrees in nutrition mean? Like how can we apply this like when I go to the food store or not go to McDonald's?
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of coaching, right? Is not just like spitting out what we know and like, oh, be impressed with how educated I am on this topic, but meeting them where they are. If it's a win for somebody to drink water and less pop and coffee, and like that's all you're doing for a couple weeks, fine. Like you gotta kind of like start where, give them those wins and educate them along the way. And you mentioned, when you eat some of the crappier food, feels like you love it as it's going in, and then when it lands, kind of like That's one of my favorite things about like working with people for, usually after about a month or so, they get into what I call like this virtuous cycle where they've been eating well enough that when they have the crappy food, they and so they're, I wasn't even worth it. I don't want to do that anymore. And so it makes it easier for them to not have those like cheat meals, right? Because they know they're not gonna feel as good when they do it.
Like when I go out partying nowadays that my dad bought, and I'm like, oh man, why did I just go out and party? I had like a half a martini, and I'm like, oh my God, that's gonna pay for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mr. Universe is off the table again this year, buddy.
Yeah.
So Candice, tell me, do you guys do any, I guess, like body fat measuring or any, composition analysis for your clients?
Yeah. Yeah, we have one of those called an in-body machine. So it does the, is it bioelectrical? You guys probably know the right word for it. But it does measure body composition. We have the version that just does body weight. It shows you like water, muscle to fat, etc. It does not show intracellular fat, the one that we use, but you can kind of deduce it from all of the other pieces there. So I do that at the beginning with people, and then I tend to check in like every other month or so on those numbers to see where things are going. 'Cause someone like Nick, who doesn't really want to lose weight, we want to see them put on muscle and lose fat, right? And so we're paying attention to that. But again, it's like every other month. I'd rather hear about the habits someone is following and see, what kind of foods they're eating if they are tracking foods than rely too much on the scale. Yeah. Do you guys use the same kinds of tools?
Dr. T has
we use a body composition analysis,
like thousands and thousands of pounds. So Doc, tell us a little bit more about your success.
The machine that we use in our practice is the Candices scale. I don't know if you're kind of familiar with that, and it breaks it down into, basal metabolic rate, body composition breakdown, visceral fat, cellular hydration, bone mass, muscle mass, and body fat percentage. And it'll also give you chronological and metabolic age. Ooh. And I agree very strongly with the fact that, every person that comes in that starts on this trend to go to a better state of wellness needs a lot of support. They've come typically from some horrific lifestyle, situations, and they need to adapt and change. So, our job, even as a physician and you as a coach, is to try to do that and not alienate them. So we bring them down that road and celebrate things. So you increase your cellular hydration, you're drinking more water, you're getting more minerals in, because without those minerals, you drink a lot of water, it's a diuretic, you're just going to pee out and lose more minerals. And the key factor associated with fat loss ties directly into that cellular hydration. If the body, most people think that when you lose weight, you're going to it's water weight. It's not water weight. To truly lose body fat, okay, you actually have to increase cellular hydration. And it's a combination of getting the appropriate mineral balance in your body as well as cellular hydration. You can't take a person that's drinking 20 to 30 ounces of water a day and bring them up to 100 ounces of water. They're actually going to feel worse rather than better, because they're going to induce a state of significant mineral loss, electrolyte imbalance. So little by little, you gradually build them up with that, and you place them to the appropriate diet. And in our particular program, it's a well-balanced protocol of using specific diets designed for them, knowing the foods to eat, not to eat, and things to avoid. It's also, and if they're coming in strictly for the weight loss program, it's extremely strict. There's no cheat days or anything of that nature, but the person can lose 20 to 40 pounds in a 40 to 60 day period of time, if, in that appropriate situation, and be healthy, because their body is catabolizing and burning fat. And as you know, this is a great thing. When you burn fat, you yield 9 calories of energy. As a protein and a carbohydrate, you're only yielding 4. So actually, when you burn fat, you have a sense of increased vitality and energy that you don't typically have when you're, doing something that's not burning a higher percentage of fat. And during that time period, so they get the specific diet, the proper nutraceuticals, homeopathic remedies, the coaching, the guidelines, and they make significant strides. And the beautiful thing about it is that their overall health improves, reduction in inflammation, but cholesterol comes down. A lot of times their blood pressure normalizes, even their blood sugar significantly changes. And not as a chiropractic physician, I don't prescribe medication. So I tell them that, that this needs to be monitored. If they come in, they check their blood sugar, they take their blood pressure every day, and they have to notify their physician to alter their medication when they hit certain numbers, because if they don't, they're going to get sick. And the great thing is that we've seen a lot of people either reduce or eliminate many, many different things. We've seen improvement in autoimmune disease. It really comes down to the gut health, the hormone balance, and everything else. So whether you're aware of it or not, placing people down that road of proper nutrition is a life-saving situation. And there's a mission statement that was put up by my staff in my office 5 years ago, and it says changing lives and saving lives each and every day. And that's a key factor to what I've dedicated to myself to doing over the years, but even more so over the last 10 to 20 years. I switched from a very strong holistic and functional medicine. And of course, chiropractic is integral into that. And we're doing skilled physical therapy that Nick offers as well. So that whole combination yields a better outcome. And of course, we want to have our bodies, patients continue to move their bodies. So getting into something where they don't feel intimidated in a CrossFit class. And I think you hit the nail on the head. The real hyper type of really driven type A person was the poster child for CrossFit years ago. You'd see both men and women really off the charts. That's not what you're seeing today. When I see a classroom, when I'm in a class right now, it's a diverse population, a lot of, or people of all different diverse backgrounds, and it's not as crazy. You work out to the intensity that you want to and try to avoid injury, So it's a combination, that compilation of everything together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was going to ask you, Candice, what are you doing for your recovery days? Because as brutal and tough and fun and cool and sexy as CrossFit is, what are you guys doing for recovery and body work? Throw it out to you first.
Yeah. So we have a couple mobility classes, a few times a week, Thursday. So today is typically a day of like steady state endurance cardio, not for power or anything like that. And then we do have a physical therapist who coaches and works out of the gym. She takes clients there kind of as needed, and she treats people there. She did cupping on me not long ago. I think I saw that one of you guys are into that. So I might try that a couple more times. So so we do that. To be honest, we get people showing up, but it's still like one of the least popular classes among our community. So we're still trying to educate everyone on the importance of spending time on that sort of like maintenance type stuff, not just hitting, the barbells and all that.
It's not sexy and fun, right?
Yeah, right. It doesn't feel like you're like working hard, right? So we've continued to do that in person, and then we've kept it online as well, which we did for the first time during COVID. And we found that more people were showing up when they could stretch from the comfort of their own home on a Sunday morning, right? So we kept that stuff going. and are getting people in. Still a little bit of a hard sell though for us on some of that stuff.
So how did you like cupping, by the way? What did that feel like from your perspective?
I liked it. I mean, I only did it one time. How many times do you think you need to do it to like feel immediate or like a release?
Every day.
Yeah.
How many times should you do CrossFit a week?
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I'll give it a go again.
Not only do I recommend it, unfortunately, Greg hasn't felt the power of it yet. This is a modality that's been around for thousands of years, way before any of this cool, fun, sexy, fun American stuff has happened.
Right.
From the Egyptian pyramids to Greek civilizations, there's references and literature and research to support it. And it's what it is. It's a reverse massage. So everybody likes a massage. So it's a reverse massage. And when you see the sexy, cool marks, it indicates the severity of your scar tissue or issue or how bad it is. Mm-hmm. So sure enough, as you continue cupping, less bruising, less potential marking. And I've seen everything from emotional stress come out in the marking to my ankle pain. It's wild. And most importantly, it saves these two things so I can continue helping people for the rest of my life.
Oh, I didn't think about that. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And so the equivalence of 5 minutes of cupping, which is one of my favorite things, is 30 minutes of sports or deep tissue work.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you advocate for people doing this on their own at home?
Absolutely. So thank you. Great question.
Yeah.
Do you do tele CrossFit? Yes, we do. So yeah, again, I think with a lot of this stuff, we overthink it, how complicated it is. Like anything in life, including CrossFit, like keep it simple and keep it fun. Mm-hmm. So the beauty of cupping is it's totally safe for various ages, genders. I do it on everybody besides active cancer patients because we don't want to promote blood flow. So lo and behold, full circle, how does CrossFit work and why is it so fun? Because we get blood flow. How does cupping work? Lo and behold, it's blood flow. I also do a deep scraping, which is a gua sha technique the Chinese created thousands of years ago. Yeah. Why does it work? Blood flow. So again, in terms of recovery, so we could have our fun, sexy, cool muscles, we have to help them recover to be ready to train doubles, triples, quadruples for whatever our choice of movement is. So again, where I think we all tie in together, including Greg and his desk jockey job, we have to move daily, people. We just pick your, like Mike Blexo likes to say, and he's been really educating me on this a lot with a strong coach and their podcasts. Like, we all sit here and argue like CrossFit's cool, bodybuilding's cool, Greg's a power lifter. I like to walk with my dad bod and my kids, whatever. So we all have to move, pick your poison, pick your, movement and just do it every day, and again, I highly encourage you, if you have the luxury and the pleasure to have a qualified physical therapist to not only do it for you, but to educate you on how to use it. I actually use like a dynamic cupping, which is like a silicone plastic. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I incorporate, which Dr. T can attest to, I apply CBDs topically, transdermal, and essential oils. Another podcast, another day, but the power of these plants through your skin as I cup you, it penetrates, and it's mind-blowing. Every time I do it on somebody, and Doc can kind of talk a little bit more about it, like patients literally go, wow.
Yeah.
It's like, what just happened? And even myself, I go, wow, what did I just do?
By the way, Nick, this is not the 90s. You say fun, sexy, cool one more time there, buddy. And I'm editing them all out, by the way.
Yeah.
Just joking. But anyways, if you Google online, the pigment of someone's skin, depending on how dark it is, signifies how much stress, tension, or basically lack of blood flow, if I'm not mistaken, Nick. So we've had, clients who don't work out at all, but have high stress jobs, and their back looks like it's been through a war, basically, like giant, black pock marks.
He's referencing cupping. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
The amount of what comes up with that lesion or mark in that area, what you see right even underneath the cup makes a significant difference. And that changes over a period of time, which is a nice thing as well. So.
Yeah. You guys are reminding me of this book that I'm looking at over here that I have not gotten through called The Body Keeps the Score. Are you familiar with that?
Bring it over. Let's see. What do you got?
This is, so I have a friend. Does that look familiar?
I haven't seen it, but there are many people that are writing many books.
Yeah. This is an older one. She is a somatic psychologist, if I'm saying that right. So she does talk therapy, but then also does like hands-on kind of stuff where people aren't saying anything. And sometimes, she's going to kill me. I'm sure I'm butchering this, but she'll like touch where your kidney is, for instance. And if she like holds it long enough, people will feel like a physical release sometimes. And she'll get people just like crying. And sometimes they don't even know why, right? It's just like some sort of release. So what you guys are saying just kind of reminds me of this phrase that I think I got from that book of like, the issues are in the tissues. So like our trauma, we're like hanging on to it, right? And it's like in here somewhere and we've got to let it out.
Candice, have you ever heard of Rolfing before?
Yes.
Take a look at some of the work done by Ida Rolf back 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And amazing to see the kind of emotional releases that people go through too in doing that work. And it really deals a lot with the myofascial tissue, what's stuck in there, the adhesions, the scar tissue, things of that nature. Not only are we making them more pliable when we work on them, but once again, lymphatic flow, blood supply, neurological supply, all these different things are happening. And what do people say when they're stressed out? I am uptight. Okay. So releasing a lot of that is a major component of that. So, I do myself, we do hard tissue release, soft tissue release, there's a whole multitude of different things that go into healing. And, if these are the things that you're interested in, there's a vast amount of information about it.
I'm sure, so to speak, in these last couple months because of like the pandemic and just like different kinds of like chronic stressors people are going through.
Yeah, you froze a little bit. Just repeat exactly what you said in the beginning.
Yeah, sorry. I think that's my connection. I was wondering if you've noticed more of that show up, like more stress show up physically in what you're able to see, given, how the world has been.
Well, here's the beautiful thing. So Dr. Nick and myself worked together over a year ago, and then things split for a period of time. Everything changed. Basically, the whole market changed within the context of healthcare because we went to telemedicine, less hands-on, things of that nature, less bodily contact. You've been working with me now, what, Nick, about 3 months? And we've integrated all these different protocols into our practice. So this was the perfect opportune time to bring all the different worlds back in together again. Yeah, because people are stressed out of their gourd. You've heard of the freshman 15. How about the COVID 25 or 30? People are engaging in things. And the sad thing about it is that, and it gets into some heavy duty politics, but this is not something that is not purposely done. You're looking at issues of people being fed things, presented things, more alcohol, more drugs, more fast food, more garbage. Perfect thing is you walk into a store. And
by the way, we're at the 60-second mark, just to interject real quick.
Well, why don't we do this? We'll take it for another time. But yes, to answer your question, people are stressed out of their gourd. They need more help now than ever before. And everything that we talked about is very pertinent to the situation. So I'll let it go.
So Candice, where can we find you? Where can we reach you? And
yes, thank you. So again, Dog House CrossFit is in Chicago. That's where you can find my one-on-one coaching stuff. I'm launching a new program that's specifically for teachers called Teach Well. So that's my like online wellness group program that I'll be doing. And that's on all the socials as I Teach Well. And again, my name is Candice Ludwig. Thank you guys so much for having me. This was fun.
Thank you so much. And likewise, Candice, it was a pleasure.
Have a great night, guys.
Best of luck. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.